The main event is PKR's only 2-day online poker tournament. It's a professional standard structure and ideal conditions for proper poker. It really is the best tournament online for $35. Tonight we're going to be looking at a game from the 9th of September and your commentators will be Dan Grant and Simon Hemsworth.
Okay.
And as we start it, the chip leader, of course, Rotelli. But in a way, Simon, these chip stacks, I mean, they're so unbelievably deep that it doesn't really matter if you haven't got the chip lead right now. There are no short stacks.
No, definitely.
I fold.
I mean, I'm not sure how it got to this stage. It's so deep. It must have maybe gone quicker than usual. But yeah, nobody's in an immediate need to gamble. Nobody needs to be shoving their stack in. Yeah, they can certainly wait for good spots, see how the final table plays out. And kind of go from there.
Yeah,
this guy's not messing about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did win the Player of the Month at the end of last year, and we may be about to see why. He's got a list of wins as long as my arm, and
No, you said he had 5 high roller starts. I think he might have 6 because I played last night on the final table with the high roller with him, and he went on to win it, obviously.
Well, he's got game then.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he has been playing well. He's certainly been running well as well, which helps.
Well, I was about to say he'd picked a bad spot, but it might turn out well for him. He's got 44% equity against Field's aces.
And these are the 2 chip leaders, I think, as well. So this could be...
Well, I think Rotelli was the chip leader.
Oh, was
but
it?
yeah, Field was in the middle of the pack. But certainly, if these 2 guys get it in, it's going to make one of them a big chip leader. And of course,
it's a good flat. I mean, most people wouldn't do that. Most people would just think to want to get their aces in. But maybe he's realised PokerJoe's an aggressive player, and you can flat here. Maybe see what happens on the flop.
Yeah, he's disguised it a lot.
Okay,
That's me. Read 'em and weep.
Let's see the river.
Well, there we go. That is a 1.2 million chip pot straight off the bat at the final table. And PokerJoe must have been absolutely loving that flop.
Yeah,
but on the face of it there, that's quite a big... I suppose misstep is the wrong word.
I actually like his play. I think what he might have been thinking is it's a final table. There's a lot of these players probably haven't played for big money before. They might want to ladder up the positions, maybe just want to fold a few hands, maybe make a bit more money. So he's probably just thinking, well, look, I'm going to put these guys under pressure. It doesn't matter what hands I have.
Okay.
And
of course, he's got great equity as
well.
When he flopped
that hand, when he got that flop, he kind of had to go with it, really.
Yeah. Well, now he is the short stack. He's still got 15 bigs or something like that. But he gets it in there with pocket 8s. And even though the Brit YK Slien has just seen PokerJoe lose that big pot, he's still not going to make the call with ace-5. Up top tonight, $3,760. The next out will get just 300. So yeah, there's certainly something playing on people's minds. But the guy with the chip lead now, Fila, about 2 months before this, he finished 5th in the Masters for $5.5 grand. So he'll at least have some kind of experience of significantly bigger money than this.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
And I think he played. I think they both played their hand fine in that big pot.
Fold.
Well,
That's a big raise.
Call. Fold.
4x under the gun, was it?
Yes.
Fold.
You see that people do that a lot with these type of hands, with ace queen type hands, because they
don't want action.
Yeah, I mean they almost don't, and they realise, well, what do I do when I don't flop a pair, like in this example?
Right.
They kind of just want to either get it in pre or just take it down.
But conversely, if you're going to be called anyway, you want a smallish pot on the flop that you can have a stab
That's
at.
really what. That's true, but they obviously aren't really thinking that at the time.
Raise.
Wow. Well, it's a slightly too big raise pre-flop, and now he's getting stuck in with ace high against a guy who's, seemingly...
All in.
There he goes. He's gone for it, and that's 295k effectively down the drain.
I mean, I don't know how much he has left.
Well, he's got 391 left. So that's...
I mean,
that's plenty to be continuing with.
It is, but then when you've committed that much to the pot, you kind of...
Yeah, but what can you be up against that... I mean, you must assume you're behind. So...
No, I mean, he probably almost has the correct odds against 10s to call there, but obviously you might not want to risk busting out. I mean,
Well, there's another example of how the pot got really big very quickly as a result of the size of the pre-flop
yeah, I mean
raise.
that doing that raise initially just put himself in a difficult situation post-flop. And
theoretically, you make it you min raise pre-flop there, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but it's being done more and more nowadays.
That's the standard raise, really, when you're playing quite shallow, like whatever 40 big blind average. That's the standard raise. But
I think people do assume when you make a min raise, or certainly perhaps the less experienced players, when you make a min raise, it makes you more likely to get called. But then you're more likely to get called by a worse hand, which is good.
I mean that's true. That you are more likely to get called, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all.
Yeah. Well, Coles, he's put the rest of his stack in with 10 high, and he's in an awful spot. Well, he's got some outs, some considerable outs actually, but he misses. And I'm afraid that is the end of the Brits' journey. 8th place for still $450. Bear in mind that it's $35 to enter. But when you've been playing a day one on a Sunday night and returned on a Monday night for day two, and then got to the final table, you might be hoping, this is my moment.
Yeah, it's a long slog, this tournament. I think if you get that far, you're going to be a little bit disappointed with that. But, it's, what was it, $350?
Yeah,
so
$450.
$450.
Yeah, and he's won a PKR Open title before, so he's definitely got some form in the book. Onwards, though, 7 left. And there is so much room for interesting poker here. It's a unique tournament, really. And
cool.
I like this Files here. He with his big stack, he really should be putting the pressure on. He should be raising a lot of different hands. Again, because people probably don't want to bust out yet. They might want to keep waiting, and he can gamble a bit more with a big stack.
Right.
He can afford to to be
flop the
aggressive,
nuts.
lose. Yeah. Flopping the nuts always helps.
Flopping the nuts must be nice. And the other guy, you know what? He picks up a caller from the big blind. And I think perhaps there's another thing for us to discuss is when you're in the big blind, don't just look at it and say, well, I'm getting 4-1 on my money.
It's a very, very common mistake. You see a lot. And I think they're thinking, well, look, it's only, the guy's min raised it. It's only one more big blind for me to see a flop. But what they're not thinking is,
now I'm
flop middle pair now, and now you're going to lose more money. You got middle pair. You've got not really much going on in terms of.
It's hard to improve.
Outs, yeah.
Well, and even that is not much of an improvement really, because it's paired the board. It's going to give him some hope. Wow, and he decides to shove.
Yeah,
and
that's a big shove.
It's a huge shove. The pot was 400 odd. He's put 523 in there. He gets snapped, and. Well, that, Simon, I mean, just off camera before this game began, we were discussing, what happens when you get one of these rare final tables where the average is 45 bigs. And people perhaps are used to getting to final tables where it's a complete shove fest and they can't make the adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that he got a bit unsure of how good his hand was on the turn, because he's like, well, I've got a made hand, I've got a draw. I don't think he wanted to face quite a difficult decision on the turn, so he decided to go all in, and quite a lot that'll work. He might have folded a king. No, was it? No, sorry, it was
fold
Queen Jack 9. He might have folded
a top
certain
hand,
certain hands that beat him, but he wasn't folding the straight. Yeah.
Well, that was quite an exit, really. I do tend to feel like you don't have to play for stacks in these situations. There's a desire there to bet 500k into 400, not 120 or something, or two.
I mean, I think his play should have been check call the turn again and then just reevaluate on the river depending what happened. I mean, he's got the guy might give up a lot on the river and his check's good. He might hit a flush and then win a big pot.
Right.
Fold.
Well, the man of the hour, Poker Joe, he's picked up a big hand to get it in with his short stack. He's now just got 12 bigs, 13, and it doesn't look like he's going to pick up a customer.
I mean, I might even min raise that hand, even though when you do min raise, you probably just have a big hand, because people are still so tempted just to call. Call out the blinds and see what happens, even though you aren't really sure.
It's so big a hand that you have to desperately try and get some value.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's it's a bit unbalanced because you probably wouldn't do that with
Nothing.
non-premium hands. But
Yeah.
a lot of people just don't realise that, and they think, well, yeah, I'll see a flop, I might hit, I might sack the guy.
Yeah. Well, they might also associate him with one or two insane plays.
Yeah, and they might reshove worse hands. They might reshove with deuces, whereas they'd fold to an all-in.
Yeah. Well, he's getting hand after hand, but he wants a customer. I mean, certainly sweeping up a few blinds and antes is not a bad thing.
Fold.
But he's again.
Yeah, it's a bit
customerless.
unfortunate. Nobody's got anything to call him with.
Yeah. Well, this is a tricky one. It's rare that you see two Swiss players up at the top. Not because I'm
What have you got against the Swiss?
slighting the Swiss. Well, Bain is mostly Swiss, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, just purely by numbers, I would say that it's rare to see them up there.
Fold.
Poker Joe, another monster. When? What is it going to take to call him? And of course, his shoves get that little bit bigger each time and a little bit harder to call. These guys are just.
I mean, the more he's doing it, he's probably getting less respect each time. So he's probably thinking, well, if I keep doing this, people are just going to think that one of them is a bluff and might call me with a, ace rag or something. But yeah, it's just, people can't call with 8-3 offsuit.
Wow, and did you see the size of the chip leader stack?
Huge,
It's
isn't it?
absolutely
I mean,
ridiculous.
it's pretty rare you have over 100 big blinds in the final table.
Yeah.
I think if you have, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Should be pretty happy with your situation.
Fold.
God, ace
And
queen
another
again.
one. But he's only.
This is how he wins.
But he's only. Oh, and he's actually. You can see he's gone back down to 263. But let's see. He's just trying to figure out. The all-in move maybe isn't the right move here, but he goes for it anyway in the desperate hope that I guess his opponent's range in terms of calling is going to be like 10-15% of hands at most there maybe. You might
it depends
call
what
from pocket twos.
It depends what the big blind is like, but a lot of people, if you shove 10 big blinds there, they might call you with king 10 offsuit, like king high, assuming that you're shoving more or less any two cards, so they'll just call you down. But I don't know. It depends what his reads are on the player, and it's just a bit unfortunate, like I said, that the guys just can't call with these really raggy hands.
Wow, and the chip leader's got more than 3 times what second place has. So, I mean, right now, very hard to see how it's going to go to anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, this is really where he should just be raising like almost any hand all the time.
Wow, it's
I really would have liked to raise there.
And there's 52.5 in the middle. I mean, you win 2 or 3 of them around.
Yeah, and
It's just-
people will be scared to shove on you. Though, they won't want to shove on you like. So I just think, well, he's just going to call me just a gamble.
Yeah, nice shove from Rotelli there. He started off as the 900,000 chip leader at the beginning of this show. You can see he's right down at the bottom, but he's certainly a guy I would expect to do exactly what he needs to in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, and now you've got a situation, you've got one massive chip leader, and the bottom 4 players are just got short stacks that kind of their only move is raise fold or raise call or to reshove with their hand.
Yeah,
and
and
there's just not anything they can do really to counter the big stack.
And I mean, 6th place is going to get $850. Second is going to get $2,740. And there's, as you say, there's just nothing between second. Really, there's almost nothing between second and 6th in terms of chips. So, it might be a situation where people are thinking, I'd love to just lock up, second or third, and then maybe see if I can get lucky against the chip leader.
Yeah, and that a lot of people go with that strategy.
Poker Joe showing he doesn't need premiums.
It's kind of unfortunate now he's got the rag hand and the guy actually has a hand that he can call with. He should call here.
Yeah, I guess he thinks it's close. He makes the call. Both of these are really good players in my opinion. Oh, well, he's just smashed him on that flop. Yeah. Oh, it goes up to 11%, but oh no! Oh my word! Respect for the ace high call. Rotelli gets stung by his countryman. That's most unfortunate. Chip leader goes out in 6th for $850. That is his 418th final table, more than anyone else at this table, Rotelli. But he's not rewarded there.
418 final tables.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it?
I fold.
And that is from 3,500 tournaments as
Wow.
well. So he's
Here
got
comes
plenty
the
of time to
flop.
play poker, obviously.
Yeah.
And well,
This
a
is the
very
river.
short stacked. Oh right, my bad. I thought he was out. Well, there we go. He was
Must
left
have
with
just got really
just a few
crippled.
chips, and now
Okay.
he's out.
New hand.
Oh, down to 5. And well, there we go. I tell you what, the others will.
Fold.
I mean, neither of those two they will have enjoyed playing against too much, but certainly Poker Joe has the higher bet frequency, and they will be a little disappointed to see him
Right.
now with some weapons in his armory.
Yeah, he seems dangerous if he gets
I'm gonna
chips.
call.
You know, anybody that's kind of
Here comes
willing
the
to
flop.
play back at you.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you
look,
don't want them with a
he's
lot of chips.
he's picked up a caller with the 6-4 off from a guy we haven't really seen much of yet. Kind of strange moment to step up to the plate. Whoa.
Wow.
Fold.
Wow, and Poker Joe only had 2-6-1 when he made that bet as well, so he's left himself with 190. He shows the bluff. Well, good. I'm happy with that. In your face, Poker Joe.
Oh wow! If you do that bluff, you got to show.
Wow, that was insane. Poker Joe bet 70k on the flop and gets it stuffed in his eyeball and gets away. He's back down to the short stack after
Okay.
just doubling up to
Probably could
600.
have bet a bit smaller. I think like.
It's such a dry flop, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a flush draw. And you kind of need to bet
I
because
fold.
your life's going to be difficult in a lot of turns.
I'm
The
gonna
turn
fold.
comes pretty much any
Fold.
high card. You're just guessing if the
call.
guy's
I mean,
bluffing or not.
they were pretty shallow, though. I mean,
I wouldn't expect the guy to reshuffle me with 6-4 off suit.
No.
So,
All in.
but it worked. It's good.
Fold.
Indeed it did. And some of these shorties just starting to get into this now. And not surprising, perhaps they waited down to 5 is certainly the time to think about opening up.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to win a tournament, they need to do something. You need to.
Well, a win
Build
right
some
now
trust.
is second place, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
as we said, it's just. I mean, the closer Phil gets to 4 million chips, and then I mean, he's going to have.
You just never know that. I mean,
Right.
the guy loses 2 all-ins in a row, which happens a lot
Yeah.
against any kind of stack size. Suddenly,
The distance between
yeah,
him and
yeah,
the guy he's
massively.
lost
I
the all
mean,
into, yeah.
You lose 2 flips in a row, or whatever. It can easily happen.
I fold.
Yeah, and actually, even though he's the shortest stack, with the dynamic at the table, chip leader aside, Poker Joe's actually going to fancy his chances to pick up more blinds and antes than any of these other,
Yeah.
well, the Brits, than any of the trio of Brits.
New hand.
You can accumulate a lot of chips just by taking down the blinds and antes. A surprising amount. If you
Well,
do
it-
win a few of those
yeah.
uncontested, you can add a lot to your chips.
Well, it's a quarter of his stack,
Yes.
Poker Joe, each time now that he's adding to
Yeah.
it. So he could double up
All in.
without any real risk. And here we go. He gets it in. He's kind of unlucky to be up against.
Yeah, I think
pair.
that shove's fine.
And here's the river.
Well, there we go. A sigh of relief for John Bren, who makes his first kind of appearance. His second hand he's played here, and now he's up to second place. And Poker Joe departs. I don't doubt that we will see plenty more of him on PKRTV. He's an entertaining player, and he wants. You can see he wants the win every single time he's at the table. So.
Yeah, no, that's definitely how he played, and that's the way you should play.
I mean, if everyone was playing that way at the table, I guess that's not the way you should play. But
No.
if there's only one guy doing it, then
But I
that guy's
think he's
doing.
right, and I think he had the
forward.
right idea, because I think you can see a lot of these players have been quite conservative
Call.
and not really wanting to put their tournament life at risk without something.
I'm all in.
Riverat limps from the
That's all.
small with the 7 deuce.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, not
I
much.
don't mean
of a fan.
Why would you want to see a flop with 7-0?
Well, I'm assuming that he wants to just like bet the flop and take it down, and it's a lower risk
New hand.
version.
yeah,
but yeah,
I'm
Not big fans.
I mean, raising any 2 cards from
Right.
small blind's fine. I don't particularly like limping with
Fold.
that.
Fold.
well, the most dangerous player out of the way, irrespective of stack size, and it's the green light for the chip leader to just kind of take this by the scruff of its neck. But
Definitely.
he
Yeah,
gets out of the
definitely.
way, And the now shortest stack bow lover gets it in. I love that.
Sure, it's not bowl over.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm not sure. It's
It might
that.
be bowl
Yeah,
over.
well, bowl over makes more sense, I suppose. But I guess that this just shows how much positivity there is in me.
You got a lot of heart. Bowl over.
Right.
See, there's some psychological element to that. It's the way
I
that
would
you
imagine
read
there
things.
is.
You see the lover. And
Yeah.
I fold.
And John Bren, he's up to 900k, gets out of the way. It's he's got so much that it's just 100% bet frequency here, presumably.
absolutely.
Raise.
Puts the pressure on. River are absolutely delighted to see.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you can do there, bearing in mind the majority of the time you're not going to get paid off?
The thing is, he's probably thinking River Rat isn't going to shove light, so it's fine. I might either just min raise it because he's made it slightly bigger than I think he needs to.
But from
limping's actually not a bad strategy there because River Rat probably isn't going to raise light, and you can see 6-7 suit is a good hand to see a flop with.
Right. And from River Rat's perspective, is there anything you can do other than shove? Bearing in mind, you kind of do want. It's such a massive hand four-way.
Yeah, I think
You have to
shove's
shove.
fine. I mean,
Right.
the trouble with tens is you're going to see an overcard, at least one overcard, more often than not. And then the guy bets into you. What do you do?
So
bets in the turn,
so
what
if
do
he
you do?
peeled there, you wouldn't have liked it much.
Raise.
I think that would have been okay, but
Right.
given that you probably expect Bile to gamble, I think he's going to call light, but he just couldn't really call with the weak hand that he had.
Okay, well, interestingly, River Rat here, he
Here comes
peels from the small with an ace rather than moving over the top of Feel. And he's allowed Feel to spike top pair. And the big blinds come in cheaply and flop bottom two, which is an absolute bonus for the short stack.
Yeah, he's fortunate that somebody's got top pair, and that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
He's not
really.
really going to fold that with his chip stack.
here's the turn.
There you go.
Oh dear. Only a 6 or a 4 can do it. That's unlucky.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't really like the way that he shoved his whole stack in with that. I mean, that was a huge hand, and unless somebody's got a queen or something else
Right.
that's worth calling with, which is quite unlikely, then you're just not going to get value. I'd rather wait and see if somebody takes a stab at the pot. At least you'll get a few more chips that way. Just slow play a bit more. I mean,
Chippy gets it in against River Rat, who just now, it could have gone a completely different way. Well, it doesn't look good for him yet. Oh, that is good.
That's the nuts.
And that's a decent sized pot. I tell you what, River Rat there in the previous hand, if he had 3-bet from the small with ace-9, which would have been fine, presumably, then the big would have been nowhere near it and would still be in the tournament. In a way, I feel that was pretty unfortunate. He did call... what was that? Another 30k from the big blind.
Fold.
So, there's an argument perhaps for saying,
I think the call's okay.
Right.
I'd rather 3-bet with that hand. I mean, folding's not terrible either. I mean,
yeah.
it's just a hard hand to play out of position.
well, he's gone, and it's a nice double up in the end for River Rat. And I must say that, Poker Joe got 1,068 5 minutes ago, and
Here comes the flop.
Bow Lover, who's it? Yeah, Bowl Over got 1,520. So now everyone's going to get $2,000 or more, so they can kind of relax a little bit.
Okay, let's do it.
From what is it, a $35 investment?
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and
I think
this
Far
is-
might call here.
this is kind of most unfortunate.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Here comes the river.
I mean, I probably wouldn't shove for a Jack-7 there because that's just really still a really top pair is just a really strong hand there, and I think you're only actually getting called by better hands. Really.
Right, and that was an absolutely massive pot. Actually, that was some 2.4 million,
Yeah,
I think,
it
because
was
he just doubled up.
It's a big shove, and I just think you're sort of getting everything worse to fold, and usually only better to call.
Well, this could be it. Field gets it in with an ace against the very short stack John Brent.
That is a very good flop and a very good turn.
And here's the river.
Well, there we go. I have a feeling that's it. He jumps in the air, the money's coming down. That must signify that he's won. And it's a fine win for a guy who really had that name on his trophy the whole way. Field 1983, $3,760.
Well, congratulations there to Phil, 1983, who's won $3,760. Dan, what do you make of that final table?
Well, he had most of the chips in the tournament for most of that final table, and so all he needed to do was kind of be sensible and close it out. But we've seen him before. He came 5th in a Masters. He's won, Monte Carlos and stuff like that. So he's got form in the books, and no surprise that he went on to win. He's a decent player. Spare a thought for Poker Joe, obviously the most aggressive player at the table with the highest bet frequency. He's a fantastic player to watch. I'd imagine it's difficult to play against him when you're in a pressure situation. He tried his best, as he always will do, but it just didn't work out for him this time. But he's the one I would take out of this and say, look at him in the future. Don't necessarily do what he does because it's tough, but he's wild and he's entertaining, and I think he's a top player.
Scott, what adjustments should people make at the main event final table?
With this final table, unlike other ones, the structures are so completely different. I mean, with a normal final table, you expect to be quite shallow and looking for spots to get your chips in. Here, you've got so much more time. You're gonna be playing more down the streets and not just shoving it in, really.
I think the other thing that we saw at this final table is that, most of the time when people get to final tables, they get a rush of blood to the head because they know you're quite shallow and you need to play fast. But here, there was no need to go off the deep end in so many pots post-flop. So maybe they need to make those adjustments too.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, guys. And thank you. We'll see you again next time at PKRTV.